Yeah, I know, weeding. Weeding your garden is a big pain in the ass. It really is. It's never ending. You're going to be plucking weeds out of your garden for as long as you're growing any type of vegetable in there. And it could be laborious, time consuming, and downright annoying and boring. Did I mention very, very boring? I have 8 different reasons as to why you would want to be weeding your garden. 2 of them are actually for vegetable reasons, but the other 6 of them are for our mental and physical health. Who would have thought weeding can actually help and benefit us? Who would have thought? What's going on, my plant peoples? I am the ADHD gardener, where I use gardening, houseplants, and humor as a form of mental health therapy. And speaking of mental health therapy, this is why I'm looking and we're talking about weeding our garden from a different perspective, because we do need to weed our garden for the sake of our plants. That is absolutely true, and I will get into that. But also, is there any way that we can look at it from a different perspective, something that can benefit us and give us positive vibes instead of just looking at it as a boring, tedious, laborious task? A little backstory is I am a registered nurse, but I no longer practice because of my own chronic health issues that led to some mental health issues as well, because, why not, right? If you got physical, why not add some mental health issues while you're at it? But there are some things that we can learn from weeding our garden that can help us not only in getting more veggies, but also our mental health and physical health. I guess I should be doing this disclaimer thing. I am not a doctor. If you have any questions or concerns regarding your health, physical or mental, then please consult your primary care physician when it comes to doing any sort of physical exercise and you have any underlying medical conditions. Back to the video. Reason number 1 as to why weeding is actually a good thing is because we get a chance to absorb vitamin D. It is an essential vitamin that we all need in our bodies, and especially if we're not getting it through vitamins like, pills, or we're not getting it through our food, we are definitely going to be getting it through the sun. What happens is sunlight gets absorbed through our body and that gets converted into vitamin D. Well, technically D3, but it gets converted into vitamin D. Then that means our body is definitely going to be needing it, because we also need that for our mental health as well. But not only that, our physical health, like calcium, calcium absorption and maintaining some calcium inside of our body. How do we get vitamin D from the sun? Basically just being exposed to sunlight. When we're weeding outside in our garden, especially if you're doing it maybe early morning of the day or right now in the afternoon, dusk time, I'm going to be really basically getting hit by the sun. And that is how I'm going to be absorbing vitamin D through my body. Well, not really absorb it, but we're going to be absorbing the rays from the sun that gets converted to vitamin D inside of our bodies. This is one of the reasons why we should look at weeding as a more enjoyable period, because we are soaking up some vitamin D that our bodies really need. Reason number 2 as to why you would want to weed inside of your garden is because those weeds camouflage a lot of the bugs and disease. You already know that those bugs are incredibly small and they can hide in the smallest of places. So if you offer a bunch of weeds, extra foliage on the ground and near your plants, then chances are those little pesky bugs are going to have more chances and more opportunities to eat your plants if you leave them there, because they have places to hide. Not only that, especially for example, right here behind me, tomatoes, this is where the disease comes into play, because let's say you have fungal blight problems like me. If it's one thing that we're always doing about the fungal blight is we're always pruning. We're getting rid of all of the weeds. We're getting rid of all of the unnecessary foliage around it, because that is a breeding ground for a lot of these diseases. So the less weeds that you have, the less foliage surrounding in the area, the less disease that you're gonna have. Have you ever had a really bad day? You woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or someone just plain old pissed you off and you're really pissed off, or maybe you came home from work and you had a really, really stressful day. How in the world do we need to relieve our stress? Now, depending on the type of weeds that you have in your garden, surrounding your garden, you will know that some of these damn weeds are really, really hard to get out of the ground. So that is where that extra energy is gonna come into play. You're gonna channel that freaking energy that you have inside of you, channel that frustration. You wanna talk that smack to the freaking weeds, you're gonna go do that. All that stress is gonna be relieved through energy release, through weeding our garden. And isn't that like the best thing? I mean, frankly, no one enjoys going out to the garden and weeding, especially when you're pissed off. But you'd be surprised, within a few minutes, you're just yanking weeds, or you get sucked into it. Which brings me to number 4. Weeding is a major distraction. Absolutely. We're out here and we're not thinking about what's pissing us off. We're out here and we're not thinking about what's making us sad. or what's depressing, or what bill needs to get paid, or who the hell pissed us off this time. And I know that it can be really hard, especially if you have obsessive thoughts, compulsive thoughts, or ruminating thoughts, all those things. And by the way, I am not a therapist. No way. I just was a patient because I went to therapy for years. So, I had to learn about changing my habits or how I think. What am I doing right now as I talk to you? Pulling weeds. Why? Because I have anxiety. Do I have a good reason for it? No, not at all. I have none. I have no idea why I'm anxious, but this is why gardening is considered the next one, a mood booster. If you have any jacked up feelings at the moment, maybe you're sad, maybe you're angry, and maybe you're anxiety ridden like I am at the current moment. What in the world are we going to be doing so we can combat that? And that's also where it leads, into obsessive thoughts and distractions. This is why they're all intertwined and, connected, because they kind of feed off of each other. Something about being around plants, something about being around nature is very calming. It's very, very peaceful. And if I'm always wired up in my brain, or maybe I'm really pissed off, most of the time I'm just generally pissed off or angry or some other reason, or maybe just downright sad, because that happens a lot. I come out to the garden because I know that I'm always going to put a smile on my face. That also intertwines with distracting my mind from those obsessive, sad, or mad thoughts. They're all intertwined. I keep telling you, I know I sound like a broken record, but it's true. All these kind of play on each other. After a while of being in the garden, especially when you're weeding and you're distracting your mind from those thoughts, then you start to develop a better mood. There's a bunch of weeds that are starting to regrow because I was weeding them. But there's a reason why you would want to weed them, and it does have to do with our vegetable plants, and that is because they are competing with the nutrients and the water that's surrounding our, let's just say, corn right now. Let's just say you got wonderful, lovely bunches of corn and stuff, but you also have a bunch of weeds. Those weeds are competing for not only the nutrients, the fertilizer that you're throwing down, but also the water source. Have you ever noticed that after a rainfall, or you're irrigating, or you're watering your plants, all of a sudden magically those freaking stupid weeds are growing just as fast, if not faster, than the corn? Because they're competing for the same stuff. So the less chances of competition, you got to take one of those competitors out, get rid of those weeds, pull them out so you can get, better corn or better whatever vegetable that you're growing. This is a perfect example. You got this wonderful, beautiful looking corn, and look at this right here. Why are these weeds strategically freaking placed right next to our plants? Look at that. We do not need that. Goodbye. And look, I have a water source. So if you think about it, another reason why not only is it looking for a plant that has a nutrient source, but he's also got a water source. Screw you, man. I forget what number I'm at, but another reason why weeding is actually good for not only your garden, but yourself, is because it is a form of exercise. In case you haven't noticed, gardening is rather laborious. And depending on what your health condition is, maybe you're in cardiac rehab, maybe you just need a little bit of movement, maybe you're of age, maybe you just, for whatever reason, okay? Gardening is a form of physical exercise. I'm just gonna use me as an example because hell, I'm the one that has chronic health issues, okay? I have MS, so that means that I get very, very stiff and I'm in pain a lot of the time. So what happens is if I'm not moving, I become very, very stiff, and that's actually more painful than just moving around sometimes. You could do something small in the garden, like weeding, because we need to weed that garden because we have a lot of plants that we need to do. So a little weeding is a little form of exercise. Maybe you're very limited to just doing little bouts of movement, then that's what you're gonna do. If you can't move but just so much, then that's what you're gonna do. Just think of the amount of calories that you can burn just from like digging a hole, or putting up a bunch of stuff, or moving cow manure, or doing some crazy nonsense. Hey, Freddie made an appearance today in this video. Do you know, like maybe within a half hour to an hour, you can burn a lot of calories just from weeding. I mean, I'm not saying that you're gonna burn tons and then you're gonna lose all this tons of weight, but let me tell you, burning some calories and getting a little form of movement and exercise in your body is better than nothing. So might as well do some, take advantage of weeding as a form of exercise, right? Are you gonna move? Are you gonna go? Are you gonna move? Bro, I gotta get through. Last but not least is fine motor skill development through pulling weeds. And I know in this garden right here, this greenhouse, I have a lot of weeds. Well, technically we have two different types of motor skills. We have one gross, which means large, and then you have fine, which is small. So we have gross motor skills like walking. That is something large that we're doing. Fine motor skills is something that we do small, like writing with a pen, counting change or picking up change, getting money from our wallets, and also picking weeds. Those with chronic health issues or maybe of age may encounter some fine motor skill problems. I know, like, let's say, for example, if you have Parkinson's, or I'll just use me as an example. I have MS and I have fine motor skill problems too. I definitely do not have the dexterity like I used to, and I definitely have issues. You know, sometimes you even have tremors. Now, how can weeding our garden actually help us with our fine motor skills? Well, if you think about it, some of these weeds are pretty small. And what do you do when you pull out a small weed? 2 fingers. What if it's a big one, you know, a large weed that you need more fingers? You're gonna grab it. Hopefully, all that weeding that we're doing is helping improving our fine motor skills by constantly picking up weeds, plucking weeds. We're always doing these motions. We're increasing our muscle strength, our muscle tone in our hands, but hopefully we're, developing some new neural pathways in our body, in our brain. Now, it's not going to be a miracle proof. It's not going to be like this massive change. Remember, consult your doctor about that, but it can, offer some improvements. It's all about perspective. Weeding can really suck, but also there can be some positive sides to just weeding our garden. So I guess in a way is how you want to look at it, how you choose to look and view the situation. If you're having a bad day, I really hope that you're having a better one after weeding a garden, okay? Let me know down in the comments below, how do you feel about weeding? Have you ever thought about looking at it from a different perspective on how it could possibly help your physical and mental health? Let me know down in the comments below. If you did enjoy this video and you want to show me some love, then don't forget to smash that like button. I really appreciate it. Also, if you haven't already, then consider subscribing. I drop a video twice a week, one short, one long. You can catch me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm on there all the time. Oh, I also have a PayPal account in case you want to donate to this channel and make this channel possible. Until the next episode, you guys, where you and me both are going to be growing our happiness one plant at a time, one day at a time. I'll check y'all later in the next episode. Peace and love.